If you're looking for a home mortgage, look no further than Premise Mortgage. The Premise process is simpler, faster, and more convenient than the competition because of their cutting-edge technology. Plus, Premise is an independent company, yet is backed by a bank. Therefore, they can offer all kinds of products for clients with various needs and deliver an awesome customer experience. Premise Mortgage is licensed in 43 states and counting. Contact Richie Love today at 704-607-1497. That's 704-607-1497.
Matt Doherty, the 6'7" sophomore from East Meadow, New York.
Leadership is learned.
A starter on Coach Dean Smith's legendary 1982 Tar Heels National Championship team with Michael Jordan.
Jordan comes down with a rebound. Clears it away to Doherty. Doherty going in against Floyd for the layup. It's good.
Leadership is earned.
Head coach at the University of North Carolina and the University of Notre Dame.
You notice Matt Doherty, he is up working every second of this ball game.
Leadership is taught.
Public speaker, author, and executive coach.
And leadership does not require a title.
This is the Rebound Podcast with Coach Matt Doherty.
Man, it's good to be back with you all. I'm going off of my book, Rebound from Pain to Passion, and last time with the solo pod, we did chapter 1. This one is chapter 2, and it's titled Winning. And I got a quote from my former teammate, Michael Jordan, and he states that talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships. And I just find it interesting. You know, he was one of the leading scorers year in, year out, but he talks about teamwork. And I think that's embedded in Phil Jackson's philosophy. And it also was embedded in Dean Smith's philosophy when Michael played for Coach Smith at the University of North Carolina. But the word that jumps out to me there is intelligence. And I don't think that's discussed enough when we talk about great teams, great players. Michael Jordan was a really smart guy. Larry Bird, who I worked for with the Pacers, really smart guy. And, you know, they come from these small towns, French Lick, the hick from French Lick with Larry Bird. But Larry Bird was a smart guy, and not just on the basketball court. Michael Jordan, smart guy. And let me tell you about a story. I was with Michael a couple years ago down at the Grove. We played golf, his golf course, and we went out to dinner afterwards with a friend of his and a friend of mine. And he was taught, we sat there for 4 hours. And one of the stories he talked about was getting Dennis Rodman to the Bulls, that he and Phil Jackson wanted Rodman. And so there was some pushback from other team members. But he talked to Scottie Pippen about Rodman and said, listen, Dennis's identity is defense and rebounding. Now, Scottie and Michael wanted to get triple doubles. What's a triple double? Well, it's basically double figures, points, rebounds, assists. It could be double figures with blocks, but there's very few players that could do that. So when he got there, Michael said to Scottie, listen, if we're in the rebound and we're getting a rebound and Dennis is in our vicinity, alligator on it. Like, don't go for it. Let Dennis get the rebound, and then he could just hand it to us and we start the break. Now he's fulfilled. He gets his rebounds. And I thought, wow, the emotional awareness, the emotional intelligence, we talk about that in leadership all the time, emotional intelligence. Michael had elite emotional intelligence because he recognized that that was Dennis's identity, and that if he wasn't able to fulfill his identity, he would be frustrated, like he did the night they played the Nets in the Meadowlands. Michael said, Scottie and I kind of forgot the mandate of alligator on the rebound near Dennis, and we both got triple doubles. Dennis didn't get his fair share of rebounds. He got so frustrated he got 2 technicals and thrown out of the game. And he said that night there was a knock at my door, and it was Dennis. And Dennis came in and said, hey, Mike, you got a cigar? And Michael told me, he says, that was Dennis's way of apologizing. Like, hey, I'm sorry that I got kicked out. So the intelligence part, like reading the defense, in the triangle offense, you had to read and react. You had to be a smart basketball player. And I think that that's really an underrated skill, because as a leader in business or in coaching basketball, you put the players in a system, but you've got to give them the freedom to make a decision on their own. So everybody's a point guard. And so with business, I talk about, the organizational triangle. Every organization I know of, whether it be sports or business, is made up of the organizational triangle with talent on top, systems and culture on the base. And talent, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. For your company, might be your COO, it might be your salesperson, it might be HR. Now, what system are you running? In the NBA, for the Bulls, it was the triangle offense. But what are you running? Now, in business, small to mid-size especially, I'm a big proponent of EOS. And I have a sponsor, Brandon Blell, who is an EOS implementer. And that is a system that a lot of small to mid-sized companies run off of. And what is a system? Well, what does your org chart look like? Do you have defined roles? Do you have proven processes? How do you run a meeting? When do you run a meeting? Is it the same day of the week, same time, every week? What is the agenda like? Do you hold to the agenda? Those are simple, fundamental things. And when I played at North Carolina, we had a system. We had a secondary break. We had motion offense. We had, if you were tired, you raised the tired signal, which was a fist in the air. Coach Smith would substitute for you, and then you were allowed to put yourself back in the game. If you took yourself out, that was part of the system. Defensively, we played multiple defenses, switching defenses, which confused the opponent. So in business, what is your system? But I think the most important of the operational triangle is culture. So you could have great systems and great talent, but if you don't have a good culture, you're not going to be successful. And you could look at a lot of, we love to look at sports. You look at a lot of teams that have accumulated massive talent and not been successful. I look at an old Laker team where they had Karl Malone, Gary Payton, I don't know if it's Shaq and Kobe, but they didn't win. And a friend of mine in the NBA said, the best players don't always make up the best teams, but the best teams always win. Okay? Let me repeat that. The best players don't always make up the best teams, but the best teams always win. And so you can control that, and a big part of it is culture. So to me, culture is king. And how do you drive that culture? Well, I was blessed my whole life, man. Going back to Long Island, New York, East Meadow, St. Raphael's Grammar School, 8th grade. Had great coaches, had great teammates. So, it takes talent. It takes coaches, it takes leadership. Mr. Coleman was my 8th grade teacher, 8th grade coach. And we won the Nassau County Championship. My point guard was Gino Larkin. Gino went on to Columbia and was the second player from Columbia University to play in the major leagues, Major League Baseball. He played for the Twins, won a World Series. And who was the first player? You're probably asking yourself. I'll give you a second. Who is the first player from Columbia to play in the major leagues? Time's up. Lou Gehrig. Lou Gehrig and Geno Larkin, my 8th grade point guard at St. Raphael's. Pretty cool. High school. I was blessed to play as a freshman on the varsity. I was kind of a 6th, 7th man. Bob McKillop was my high school coach. Bob went on to Davidson, coached Steph Curry, and had a legendary career at Davidson. He'll probably be in the Hall of Fame someday. And then Dick Zeitler was my coach the last 2 years. We won multiple state championships, multiple Catholic League championships on Long Island. And then in college, I mentioned I played for Dean Smith with Michael Jordan, James Worthy, Sam Perkins, Jimmy Black, Brad Doherty, Kenny Smith, Al Wood. Went to the Final Four my freshman year, lost to the darn Hoosiers of Indiana with Bobby Knight and Isaiah Thomas. And then my second year, we won the national championship. So I had great coaches and teammates. High school, John Corso, Mike Aldridge. I mentioned Bob McKillop and Dick Zeitler in high school and Dean Smith. And it goes back to the organizational triangle. You have to have talent. You can't make chicken salad out of chicken you-know-what. You got to have systems. What kind of organization are you putting your teams in? How do they report? What's the org chart look like? Are roles defined? What's the accountability like? Culture. How do you drive a good culture? Well, to me, it starts with your vision. Where do you want to go? What does it look like? And I say this, you create the vision and hand paintbrushes to your team and let them paint the picture. What does that do? Creates buy-in. If they're painting the picture, they own it. And now they're all in. And then the mission. So the vision, like at North Carolina, was to win a national championship, be the best. It was actually, the vision was be the best basketball program in the country. So what's the mission? Like in the military, you go out on a mission. Like the vision of the military is to be the most powerful military in the country, in the world. But you have to mission to do that. You have to win your mission. And that's more granular, more time sensitive. Maybe it's the next month. Maybe it's the next quarter. Maybe it's the next year. So at North Carolina, we wanted to win a national championship each and every year. That was our mission. And then it goes to core values. What are your core values? What do you stand for? At North Carolina, from when Dean Smith coached through now with Hubert Davis, every coach talked about 3 things. And every fan could probably recite these core values. Play hard, play smart, play together. Play hard, play smart, play together. What are your core values at your organization? When I give keynote talks, I always ask, I said, okay, who here has core values? And pretty much everyone's hands go up. And then the unlucky person that I point at and say, okay, what are yours? And then they they just hesitate. They look up in the sky. They mumble. They say, it's respect. And then maybe they say, I got it on the website. I'm like, what good is that? So you got to live your core values. And I talk about you only can have 3 or 4 core values. Why? Because human beings can only remember 3 or 4 things. Otherwise, phone numbers would be 7 digits long instead of 3 and 4 digits long. So you want your people to remember their core values. All right, great. You have core values. Now, for me, it's RTCP, respect, trust, commitment, positivity. But what does respect look like? Now, in my organization, Doherty Coaching, I need to define respect. I need to define trust. I need to define commitment. I need to define positivity. See, it's a great way to lead. Why? Because it takes the emotion out of it. Because usually when somebody does something wrong in the organization, you get mad, but you're really mad at yourself because you didn't explain the behaviors that drive winning in your organization. So let me give you an example. when I was the head coach at North Carolina. I didn't know anything about emotional intelligence. So if a player did something I didn't like, I probably just yelled at him in front of the team. Awful leadership. I got fired, went on a leadership journey, and I understood emotional intelligence better. I understood core values better. I studied at Wharton, at the Darden School. I wanted to get better. And a real influence on me was Lieutenant Colonel Matt Karras, who served in the Army and First Cav. And he gave me a medallion. We talked about symbolism. We talked about core values. And I really drilled down on my core values. And that's when I came up with respect, trust, and commitment. Just those three. I added positivity later because I don't like being around negative people. And so I was at SMU and I had a player who wasn't going to class. And I called him into my office before practice, and he sat in my office, my conference room, and was very nervous. And I had a limestone in the middle of the conference room. And on the limestone was our core values in a gold plate, RTC, SMU basketball in a year. And then I had every player sign that stone with a black Sharpie. And what did that symbolize? It symbolized a contract. It symbolized an operating agreement. It symbolized their commitment to those core values. So he comes in, sits down, nervous, supposed to start practice in about 30 minutes. And I said to the young man, I said, I understand you're not going to class. And he dropped his head. See, we had mandatory class attendance. And I said, you know, with you not going to class, you broke, you know, you don't respect my rule of mandatory class attendance. I said, with you not going to class and me thinking you were going to class, you broke my trust. With you not going to class, you obviously show a lack of commitment to getting your degree. I paused. The power of the pause, by the way, use it. It is powerful. So I paused. And then I went old school on him, man. Something my parents would do, something your parents would probably do. I said, if you were me, what would you do? And he shook his head. He thought for a minute, and he said, I'd suspend me. I said, okay, you're suspended. And we walked out of the room. No hard feelings, not personal. That's the neat thing about core values and defined behaviors, because it's not personal. He agreed to it. There was no gray area. I wasn't mad at myself. Matter of fact, it's one of my proudest coaching moments of my life, because leadership's a learned behavior. See, I wouldn't have done that in 2003, the year I got fired at North Carolina. But I learned. You too can learn. So now, think of what happened in the locker room when he got to the locker room before practice. The players, you know, the players were like, hey, what was it? What happened? What was coach like? And I can only imagine him saying something like this. Coach was kind of cool. He asked me what the core values were. I told him respect, trust, and commitment. And then I guess I suspended myself. Talking about driving culture. That permeated through our organization, and it could permeate through yours too. The key is accountability, holding your team accountable. And when you have your core values and defined behaviors, it's easier to hold them accountable. Just remember, culture is king.
There are two kinds of entrepreneurs, those who run their businesses and those whose businesses run them. If you've lost control of your business, consider running on EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. EOS is used by more than 190,000 companies worldwide to help simplify, clarify, and achieve their vision. My friend and colleague, Brandon Blell, is a professional EOS implementer. She can help. Schedule a meeting with her at eosworldwide.com/Brandon-Blell. That's Blell, or connect with her on LinkedIn. If you are looking for a commercial roofer, you got to call Catamount Roofing first. They are experts in the commercial roofing space, serving North and South Carolina. The team at Catamount specialize in commercial, industrial, medical, and institutional roofing. They will care for your roofing investment every step of the way, from design and installation to maintenance throughout its life to ensure maximized watertight service. Solutions through perseverance. Catamount Roofing. They work to make your roof last longer. Get in touch today at catamountroofing.us. That's catamountroofing.us.
Leadership is a learned behavior. You're a leader whether you're a parent, a coach, a business owner, or a friend. We all lead in some way, shape, or form. Thanks for listening. I welcome any and all feedback. You can reach me at dohertycoaching.com.
At Action Plus Ideas, your brand is our purpose. Elevating brands through premium merchandise and apparel is our expertise. With a legacy spanning over 30 years in Charlotte, we take pride in serving our community and beyond. With exceptional service, top-tier products, and always on-time delivery, we create lasting client relationships. As a prominent promotional products distributor, we offer competitive pricing, superior decoration, and inventive marketing solutions to make your brand stand out from the crowd. Contact Action Plus Ideas for more information at actionplusideas.com.